it's a new concept to us again, and it is helpful to you even in your day-to-day life. So if you are well aware about all these kinds of diseases or infections, so that one can protect himself, so that he can lead a healthy and happy life. And you might have studied about various types of diseases in your previous classes also, but this is a different kind of here diseases we are going to study in this session. And here it includes STIs, or we call it as here STDs. In this session, we are going to see here what is the technical definition of the STD, what are all the causative organisms of these STDs, and how these STDs are get transmitted from one person to the another person. Then what is the prophylaxis? Here the prophylaxis means what is the prevention method of these STDs, and what are all the early symptoms of these STDs, and if at all these symptoms are get ignored, what will be the effects of these here the STDs on the male and female here persons, and thereafter what are all the different types of here diagnosis methods are available to us, what are the precautionary steps that you need to take in order to avoid these STDs or STIs. Now the point, technical definition of these here STDs or STIs, and it is a disease or any kind of infection and which that transmits through unprotected sexual coitus with the infected person. Are all collectively known as here STDs or STIs. Then what is the full form of this STD? STD stands for sexually transmitted disease, or else we call it as here sexually transmitted infections. Let me give the definition of this one. So any kind of disease or the infection, here is a point, any kind of disease or infection that is get transmits from the infected person to a healthy person. And here the point to be noted is majority of these diseases are get transmitted through sexual coitus, and that too here it is unprotected sex. As I said already, unprotected sex, it includes taking part in the coitus without using any condoms is known as unprotected sex. And if any kind of diseases are get transmitted in such a way, all the diseases are collectively known as sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections. And this has got even another name also, and they are all here known as venereal diseases. And here abbreviated form of this one is VDs, venereal diseases, and they are all even otherwise known as reproductive tract infections. Reproductive tract infections. And abbreviated form of this one is simply here known as RTIs. RTI. So this is actually the technical definition. So whatever the diseases get transmitted through unprotected sex, we can consider such a kind of all diseases collectively reproductive tract diseases or infections, or venereal diseases, or else reproductive tract infections. Then how does these diseases affect us? What are the causative agents for this disease? Let us see now here. Since all these are the infections, there must be a causative agent. and there are certain kind of organisms which causes the diseases in the humankind, which are related to these sexually transmitted diseases or infections. Now I am going to enlist the number of or the types of the causative organisms which technically are known as the pathogens, and various types of pathogens are there which causes these infections or diseases in the humankind. And these here group of the pathogens here it includes, the first one here it is bacteria. There are certain kind of bacterial sexually transmitted diseases are there, whereas here the second type of diseases here are viruses, whereas the third type here it includes chlamydia. Here is one more causative organism for this sexually transmitted disease, and that followed by protozoans is one more thing, and thereafter the fungi, particularly here the yeast that causes the sexually transmitted disease, and whereas the next one is nematode. Here parasites also there that causes these diseases. Thereafter ectoparasites. Here ectoparasites are there. All these ectoparasites are arthropoda. They are all the arthropods. They are all the list of the organisms that causes here the sexually transmitted diseases. Let me remind you once again, there are certain bacterial STDs are there, viral STDs also there, and here chlamydomonas, here chlamydia, protozoa, fungi, nematode and ectoparasites are there. All these are the causative here organisms for these STDs. So in the coming sessions, I will give you the detailed information regarding the names of the STDs that are all caused by the bacteria, virus, chlamydia, protozoa and so on. Now, how does these diseases get transmitted from one to one? Here I will tell you here in detail. One is mode of transmission. What are all the modes of transmission? And here generally we do here think that as the definition here defines that these are all the diseases or get transmitted through sexual intercourse. And here the point is not only the sexual intercourse here transmit these diseases from person to person. Apart from that, some of the other modes of transmissions also there. Now I am going to here brief you the types of modes of transmission here in the STDs. And here if you assume that there is a person who is here positive to the STDs. Assume that he is a positive. So it may be a here male or a female. Thereafter we do have here the another person who is healthy. He may be a male. Now how does these diseases all get transmitted from infected person to a healthy one? Vice versa. In the same way, if this person is infected, here reported with a positive, then how does it here get transmitted from one another? Now I am going to here tell you the modes of the transmission, how all these occurs. The first mode of transmission, as I said, or as the definition is here, giving us information to us that these are all the diseases or get transmitted sexually. Here, sexually, that too here, this sexual here transmission takes place because of unprotected sexual here intercourse, it leads to sexually transmitted diseases. Whereas the second important here mode of transmission, it includes usage of infected injection needles. Here usage of infected injection needle is one more thing. If the infected person use any injections without sterilization of certain types of injection needles or get used by a healthy one, then it leads to transmission of a disease. And coming to the next one is here infected surgical instruments is one more thing. Without sterilization of the instrument that are all used for the surgeries of an infected person, and in the same type of here instruments or get used for a healthy one also, then this infectious here pathogens or get transmitted from infected person to the healthy one is another mode. Thereafter, these can be get transmitted because of infected blood transfusion. Infected blood transfusion. Generally, when the persons are in need of a blood, then we used to get it from some other persons or take it from here blood banks. In such a cases, if the blood is not free from these kind of pathogens, and if it is contaminated with a certain kind of pathogens, and such a kind of blood, if it is administered, definitely the person into which the blood is get administered may undergo a infection. Is one. And here the next important mode of transmission is from pregnant mother to the baby. This is the one more here, and even that pregnant mother, whenever she is infected, reported with a positive of certain sexually transmitted infections, and during that time, the pregnancy time, mother to the baby, these infections are get transmitted. These are all the various types of modes of transmission. One is unprotected sex, whereas the second one is infected injections, needles, whereas the infected surgical instruments and infected blood when it is get administered, thereafter from an infected pregnant mother to the fetus or the baby, all these diseases are get transmitted. Now, here what are the symptoms of the diseases? Initial days. So I do concentrate on now here the initial symptoms of the diseases. Thereafter, if the symptoms are ignored, if they are not treated on time, then here how the consequences will be, we will see now in a detail. When a person gets these infections, they do exhibit certain kind of symptoms in the earlier days. And here the point is, every type of disease has got its own on unique types of symptoms. But here I am going to focus on certain type of common symptoms for all the STDs or here STIs. And these common symptoms here are, it includes the first thing, then the infected person will experience the itching sensation at their genital tracts. Itching sensation is one important here, symptom is experienced by an infected person. Whereas the second one is here pain, particularly abdomen pain. Abdomen pain or the organ which is infected in that particular organ will experience the pain is one thing. And thereafter here the swelling of a particular here organs can be noticed. And here fourth important common symptom of all these STDs, it includes fluid discharge. Fluid discharge. Sometimes this fluid discharge will give very bad smell also. Bad smell also it gives so. So these are all the common symptoms. One, it includes the itching sensation and pain in the abdomen, and here swelling, and here fluid discharges. Sometimes the fluid discharges will have the bad smell also. Then whenever these symptoms are ignored at initial days, and if they are not identified, if a concerned person is not approached to a doctor and get treated on time, it may lead to here some of the consequences, and which are all here leads to a severe disorders in a male and female. The reason for this, actually in Indian society, it related to the social stigma. Those who have got these sexually transmitted diseases are not come forward, and they do not express their problem, and they do not approach their doctors also. Since most of these here diseases are get ignored at the initial days, and finally it leads to here some of the severe disorders. When a person gets a severe disorders, what are the here some other infections are the symptoms that we can notice within them. Let us see now here. When these are all ignored, right, what are the some additional symptoms or the problems that develop in a concerned person? The first one here it includes PID, is here a severe disorder. The PID it stands for pelvic inflammatory disorder or disease. In this case, all the organs in the reproductive system will be get infected. And in case of a female, if you see in this condition, here it infects the external genitalia and vagina, cervix and uterus as well as fallopian tubes, and even the ovaries also will be greatly infected because of certain kind of causative pathogen. And if this pelvic inflammatory disease or disorder is taken place, it leads to here infertility in the women. So they are not able to here give birth to the young ones. So it finally leads to the infertility in the women. And if it is get continued, it leads to abortions in the women without completion of the complete gestation period, and they do here give birth to the immature babies, and even here the baby at the embryonic stage itself, here abortion will be taken place. And even it leads to stillbirths. Here the stillbirths in the sense, here death baby or died baby will be taken birth. So they do give a birth to the lifeless baby. So such a kind of births are very common when they are all here suffered from these sexually transmitted diseases. Not only that, it leads to even ectopic pregnancies. Ectopic pregnancies. It is a technical term here that comes across. So I already explained regarding these ectopic pregnancies. Generally during the pregnancy time. So when you see, and it takes place in the uterus. Implantation is a process that takes place in the uterus. So when the fertilization is here done in the ampullary isthmic junction of fallopian tube, here then the fertilized zygote it travels down to the uterus and it gets transformed into the embryo, and the embryo is get abandoned in the endometrial wall of the uterus. This is a natural process in occurrence of the pregnancy or conceiving. This entire process is known as implantation. But here the point is, if at all the women is get suffered from the sexually transmitted diseases for a prolonged time, and if the conditions are severe, in such a cases, instead of implantation taking place in the uterus, the implantation takes place in the fallopian tube itself. Then the baby starts growing in the fallopian tube. In such a cases, we call it as ectopic pregnancies. These ectopic pregnancies here causes a severe pain in the abdomen of a woman. And here for the treatment of this one, simply here they will undergo a surgical process and the fallopian tube is get removed. If not, it may lead to here great health disorders in a woman, and sometimes it leads to even the death of the pregnant women too. So this is another important problem it arises because of this. So these are all the severe here problems. Pelvic inflammatory disease, whereafter here, and sometimes even it leads to reproductive tract infections. Reproductive tract cancers. Reproductive tract cancer also it may be taking place. So these are all the severe conditions will be getting developed by a woman if she is not identified at an earlier stage and if they are all prolonged. So these are all the problems. And thereafter here, then what is the precaution for this? What is the prevention for that? You all know that the old age here prevention is better than the cure. So here whenever you got these diseases, and instead of here getting cure for these diseases, if you take earlier the precautions so that we can prevent this disease, or else we can go for prophylaxis of this disease. Now let us see here what are the prevention methods of these diseases that followed by a cure for these diseases. Coming to the prevention or prophylaxis for these kinds of STDs or STIs, here includes these three important here points. The first important point is we should avoid sex with unknown partners, and if someone you don't know, so it is not fair to take part in a sexual intercourse with them. And that too we have to avoid the sex with a multiple partners also. So one should be faithful with his wife or a husband, so that here you must be here avoid the sex with a multiple partners. And here you should go for here only sexual intercourse with a life partner only. So with unknown partners as well as multiple partners, we should avoid the sexual intercourse. So this generally prevents the transmission of STDs or STIs. Whereas the second one is here, always use condoms. So this is here an important barrier. At the time of contraceptive methods, when I stressed on the condoms, I said the condoms useful as the contraceptive method. Even these condoms also here helpful to us in order to avoid the sexually transmitted diseases. That is the reason why we can say that the condoms have got a dual function is one thing. Thereafter here, if at all you got any doubt, it is better to you to approach a doctor at the early stage itself. So when this early stage the symptoms are noticed, when you approach a doctor and when you are diagnosed with a positive of these infections, so that it is need to us to take a continuous treatment till the diseases get cured. When you follow these three types of the steps, generally it helps for us in prevention of STDs as well as STIs is one. Thereafter, what is the cure for these diseases? It is a very interesting and important point, and here it is very important even for medical entrance examination also. Three kinds of viral infections. Here it includes, as you all know that here HIV and AIDS has got no cure at all. So we are all much familiar with only the AIDS or the HIV only. But here the point is, apart from that, two more diseases also doesn't have any cure. And one is hepatitis B. The hepatitis B generally used to call as a jaundice disease. And this is get caused by various types of viruses are there, hepatitis A, B, C, E in such a way. Coming to this hepatitis B has got no cure at all. Once you are infected with this virus, the traces of the virus always remain in your body. And thereafter, the genital herpes is the third important disease. These three kinds of diseases are caused by the viruses. As you all know that here, any kind of viral infection has got no cure at all. But only the one thing is some vaccinations are available to certain kind of viral infections. And among all of them, HIV, hepatitis B and genital herpes, it doesn't have got any cure at all. Except these three, rest of all the STDs have got a complete cure when they are all noticed in the earlier stage itself, when they are all treated on time. So we can cure all kind of your diseases. And thereafter, what are all the diagnosis methods are available to us? So in which way here we can identify the infections? And here the methods that are all available to us is culture. Constitutive pathogen culture is taken, and that culture is here examined microscopic with a different kind of stains. When you examine all these pathogens and their cultures with a different stain, it is possible to us which kind of here pathogen is present in the concerned person body and what are the types of here diseases they are all suffering from. Whereas the next one is, it is a well-known test, that is ELISA. So here the ELISA test, it includes the antigen antibody reaction. Antibody reactions. Based on the antigen antibody here reaction, you can identify the varieties of sexually transmitted diseases. The ELISA stands for enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, is the full form of this abbreviated name, that is ELISA. Along with this here PCR, the polymer chain reaction, is one more here test is available to us in order to diagnose various types of sexually transmitted diseases. And at last, you can see the DNA hybridization is one more method that is available to us in order to diagnose the sexually transmitted diseases and infections. So here in the coming session, in the next class, here I will give you the detailed explanation of various types of sexually transmitted diseases that are all caused by the various types of constitutive organisms or pathogens I earlier listed out, like bacterial diseases, viral diseases, fungal, fungal, and thereafter protozoan diseases. All the varieties of diseases I am going to explain in coming session. So till that time, enjoy the video and enjoy with your family members. Thank you.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.